Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. Ready to dive into a fascinating area that's constantly evolving? We're going to be looking at compliance solutions, specifically how this market has really changed over time. And we've got, well, this blog post that just digs deep into all the ins and outs and, well, complexities.
Yeah, it's a pretty dynamic landscape for sure.
Yeah.
Especially now. I mean,
Right.
with all these new players coming in, it's a whole different ball game than it used to be, you know?
Yeah.
Like we've seen this huge shift from, I guess you could say, the old days when, well, when compliance was really only a thing for those big institutions, the ones with those, what do you call them? Those big budgets for all this custom systems.
Yeah, like the era of tailored suits.
Mhm.
Fits perfectly, but not exactly adaptable, right?
Exactly.
And the blog post we've got, it actually calls those companies the old guard, the Thomson Reuters and LexisNexis of the world,
Yeah.
providing these, well, comprehensive solutions, but at a pretty steep price. So why was that model the standard for so long?
Well, I mean, those companies, they needed solutions that could handle, their complex needs.
Right.
And they definitely had the resources to pay for it. For smaller businesses, though, meeting all those regulatory demands, that was a real struggle, especially with that cost barrier.
And then, boom, fintech arrives. And suddenly everything changes.
Right.
These new companies, they needed compliance solutions that weren't just effective, they had to be agile, too,
Right.
and cost-effective.
Yeah, it's like switching from those tailored suits to ready to wear. Still high quality, but way more accessible.
Totally. And this demand for flexibility, it really opened the door for all these new providers, ones
Yeah.
offering cloud-based modular systems, providing the functionality that fintechs need without those, traditional high costs.
Exactly. And you know what's really interesting? This shift was actually enabled by, believe it or not, the legacy systems of those older companies.
Yeah, that was a point I found pretty fascinating in the blog, too. It talks about how those newer solutions actually often rely on the data and infrastructure that those big players built. It's almost like they built upon the foundations laid by the old guard, just with a modern twist.
Yeah, it's a classic example of disruption building on what came before. And that disruption led to some serious growth.
Sure.
I mean, the blog highlights how the RegTech market went from like $1.2 billion in 2014 to a whopping $9.3 billion in 2023.
Wow, that's a massive jump.
It is.
But with that kind of rapid growth, doesn't that create new problems? I'm thinking about like the sheer number of options now. It seems like everyone's offering the same features. How do you even choose?
That's the issue, right? The commoditization trap, as they call it in the blog. This influx of providers all competing for market share, it can lead to this race to the bottom on price, which isn't always good.
Right, because it's easy to get drawn to that cheapest option. But is that always the smartest move when we're talking about compliance?
Yeah, that's where things get a little tricky. The blog post, it cautions against getting too focused on that cost per check mindset, because compliance isn't just about, checking boxes.
Right.
It's about managing the entire client life cycle
Right.
effectively.
Yeah. If you only focus on cost, you can end up with this fragmented approach
Right.
where you've got all these different solutions
Right.
that don't really work together.
It's like trying to, I don't know, put together a puzzle, but with pieces from different sets. You might be able to force it,
Right.
but it's not going to look right.
Exactly. And that's where those hidden costs of fragmentation, they really start to show. The blog post actually, it highlights how using all these multiple solutions that don't really connect
Right.
can lead to, inefficiencies, delays, and even, compliance breaches.
So you might think you're saving money up front, but in the long run,
Yeah,
it ends up costing more.
exactly. And it's not just about the money either.
Right. A fragmented approach, it can really hurt the customer experience too.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, imagine a clunky onboarding process.
Right.
Customers having to jump between systems, giving the same information over and over again. Nobody wants that.
Definitely not. And the blog makes this point that, sales might close deals, but it's compliance that keeps the revenue coming.
That's a really important point. You need a seamless, efficient compliance process
Absolutely.
if you want happy customers.
Right.
Which, of course, leads to business growth.
Right. So with all these options out there, how do you even avoid this commoditization trap?
Right. Well, the blog actually, it offers some pretty good advice. It highlights some key questions you should be asking when you're evaluating solutions.
Okay, so this is where it gets, practical.
Right.
The blog talks a lot about integration, automation, and scalability.
Yeah, those are all critical. So integration, that's all about how well a solution fits into your existing systems. You want something that works seamlessly with your CRM,
Right.
your ERP, all those other financial platforms.
Makes sense.
You don't want to be creating silos and having to, manually move data between systems.
Right. Nobody wants to be doing that all day.
Yeah.
And automation, what role does that play?
Automation's all about, streamlining processes,
Okay.
freeing up your team's time. So
Yeah.
the more you can automate, the more they can focus on those, the tasks that actually need human judgment.
So it's not about replacing people with robots. It's about helping them be more efficient.
Exactly. Working smarter, not harder.
Right, right. And then scalability.
Right.
Why is that so important?
Well, you need to make sure that the solution can actually grow with your business.
Okay.
You don't want to get stuck with a system that can't handle it if you expand into new markets or offer new products.
Like buying a tiny car
Yeah,
when you need to travel across the country.
exactly. Thinking about scalability from the beginning, that can save you a lot of headaches later.
Headaches and probably money too.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've talked about this commoditization challenge.
Right,
The need to look beyond just cost per check.
right.
And all this stuff about integration, automation, scalability.
Yeah,
But where's it all going? What's the future of all this?
right.
The blog post ends on this kind of optimistic note,
Yeah,
suggesting that the future of compliance is these next generation platforms
yes.
that use like AI and automation to build these really unified, comprehensive solutions.
That's the exciting part. These platforms, they have the potential to actually turn compliance from, this cost setter into a strategic asset. Think real-time cross-verification,
Right.
no-code integration, even white label capability.
Okay, those are some serious features. But what do they actually mean for businesses? Like, what kind of impact can they have?
Well, imagine, a platform that can instantly verify a customer's identity
Yeah.
against multiple databases, assess their risk profile, flag any potential issues, all while they're filling out a form online. That's the power of real-time cross-verification.
So instead of waiting for someone to manually check everything, which could take forever,
Right.
it all just happens automatically.
Exactly. In the background.
That's incredible. And it would definitely make onboarding so much smoother.
Right. And it reduces the risk of errors
Yeah.
or delays. So it's better for everyone.
Definitely. And the blog also talks about no-code integration as being a real game changer,
Yeah.
especially for smaller businesses that might not have, a ton of technical resources. Why is that such a big deal?
Well, because in the past, if you wanted to integrate these solutions with your other systems, you needed a whole team of developers
Oh, wow.
doing all this custom coding.
Right.
But with no code integration, you can connect everything without writing a single line of code. It's so much easier.
So even smaller businesses can use these advanced tools.
Exactly. It makes things a lot more accessible.
Yeah, it really levels the playing field.
Absolutely.
And finally, white labeling. This one's really interesting
Yeah.
because it lets businesses actually turn compliance into a way to make money.
Right.
How does that work exactly?
So with white labeling, you can basically take these platforms
Right.
and rebrand them as your own. You can use them internally,
Uh-huh.
or you can offer them as a service to your clients.
So like a fintech company could package their own branded compliance solution.
Exactly. And offer it as part of their services.
And then it's like a one-stop shop for all their clients' needs.
Right. It simplifies things for the client,
Right.
and it positions the company as this trusted, comprehensive provider.
That's smart. So you're basically turning compliance into a competitive advantage.
Exactly. It's not just a cost of doing business anymore. It's something that can actually help you make money.
It's pretty amazing how these platforms are changing things, right? There's so much more than just, checking boxes.
Yeah, they're all about using data, but in a smarter way. So businesses can, really understand what's going on and make things better for their customers.
The blog post actually, it mentions real-time cross-verification
Right.
as one of the key benefits of these platforms.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds really powerful, but how does it actually work, in the real world?
Well, think of it like this. You have this super efficient assistant
Okay.
that can check tons of information all at the same time. So let's say you're onboarding a new customer.
Right.
The platform can check their identity against all these different databases.
Right.
Make sure they're not on any sanctions lists,
Uh-huh.
even assess their risk profile, all in real time, while they're filling out a form.
So you don't have to wait for someone to manually check everything,
Exactly.
which can take forever.
It all just happens automatically.
In the background. That's incredible.
It makes things so much smoother and faster.
And it probably reduces errors too.
Right. Absolutely. Less chance of something slipping through the cracks.
Okay, so real-time cross-verification.
Yeah.
Got it. The blog also talks about no-code integration as this, like, game changer, especially for smaller businesses.
Yeah.
The ones that might not have a big tech team. Why is that so important?
Well, in the past, integrating these compliance solutions with your other systems, it was a huge undertaking. You needed developers writing all this custom code.
Oh, wow.
But with no-code integration, you can connect everything yourself without any coding.
So it's way more user-friendly.
Exactly. Anyone can do it.
So even smaller businesses can use these really sophisticated tools.
Right. It's all about making this technology accessible.
That's really cool. It levels the playing field.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so we've talked about real-time cross-verification, no-code integration.
Right.
And then there's white labeling. This is the one where you can actually, like, make money from compliance.
Right.
So how does that work?
Well, basically, you can take these platforms and you rebrand them as your own. You can use them internally, or you can offer them as a service to your clients.
So, like, I'm thinking of a fintech company.
Right.
They could create their own branded compliance solution.
Exactly. And include it as part of their package.
Right. So their clients get everything they need in one place.
Yeah, it just makes things easier for everyone.
And it makes the company look good, too.
Right.
Like, they've got it all figured out.
Absolutely. It shows they're like a one-stop shop for all your financial needs.
And it turns compliance into a way to, like, stand out from the competition.
Exactly. It's not just a cost anymore. It's a way to differentiate yourself.
I love that. So we've gone from, like, this basic check-the-box approach to compliance to these platforms that are, like, really pushing the boundaries.
This whole new world.
They're not just about, meeting the rules. They're about using data to actually grow your business.
And to make your customers happier.
And that's a pretty great place to wrap things up, I think.
Yeah.
We've talked about, well, how the compliance market has changed over time, the challenges of, all these solutions that basically do the same thing.
Right.
And these incredible next-generation platforms that are, well, they're changing the game.
Absolutely.
So if you're out there looking for a compliance solution, don't just focus on the price tag.
Right.
Think about the long-term value. Can it integrate with your other systems? Can it scale as you grow? Can it actually help you build a better business?
Those are the important questions.
Because the right compliance solution, it's not just about, staying out of trouble. It's about achieving real success. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.